Welcome to my channel, where I explore some of the most shocking and fascinating cases in internet and history. Today, I have a story for you that will make you question everything you know about family, identity, and violence. Imagine a family that has it all: wealth, success, and happiness. They live in a beautiful house in a peaceful neighborhood, and they have two talented and obedient children. They are the epitome of the immigrant dream, having moved from the Philippines to Australia in search of a better life. But behind the facade of perfection, there is a dark and twisted secret, a secret that will lead to one of the most brutal and horrific crimes in Australia's history, a secret that will shock the nation and the world. This is the story of Sef Gonzales, the man who killed his own family. What drove him to commit such a heinous act? What were the signs that he was planning to murder his parents and sister? How did he try to get away with it? And how was he eventually caught and brought to justice? In this video, I will take you through the details of this case, the motives, the evidence, and the impact of this crime. But before we get into the video, please make sure to subscribe the radio channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of my new uploads. Are you ready to dive into this case? Well then, let's go. Sef Gonzales was born in 1980 in Baguio, Philippines, to a locally prominent family. His father, Teddy, was a lawyer, and his mother, Loiva, was a homemaker. They had another child named Claudine. She was born in 1983. After the 1990 earthquake destroyed their home and business, the family emigrated to Australia, where Teddy requalified as a lawyer and set up a successful law firm. Sef Gonzales was described as a quiet and obedient child who did well in school and wanted to be a musician. He attended Parramatta Marist High School, which was a prestigious Catholic school, and was active in the choir and drama club. He had a close relationship with his sister, who looked up to him and shared his interests. However, Sef Gonzales also had a dark side. He was obsessed with money and material possessions and resented his parents' strict expectations and rules, as his parents wanted him to study hard and become a lawyer. He lied about his academic performance, his relationships, and his activities. He forged his grades, cheated on exams, and dropped out of university. He also had a history of violence and cruelty, such as torturing animals, threatening classmates, and assaulting his girlfriend. He harbored fantasies of killing his family and inheriting their wealth. The relationship between Sef Gonzales and his family deteriorated over time as his parents discovered his lies and failures, and his sister exposed his secrets. His parents threatened to disinherit him, cut off his privileges, and send him back to the Philippines. His sister became distant and fearful of him. Sef Gonzales felt angry, humiliated, and betrayed by his family, and plotted a heinous act. Sef Gonzales called the emergency services on July 10, 2001 at around 6:30 p.m. and reported that he had found his family dead in their home. He said that he had been out with a friend and that he had returned home to discover the bodies. He also said that he saw the words "fuck off Asians" spray painted on a wall, and that was a suspicion that his family was killed by a racist intruder. The police arrived at the scene shortly after and found out that the crime scene was very gruesome and bloody. The police found the bodies of Sef Gonzales' parents, Teddy, Loiva, and sister Claudine in different rooms of their house, each with multiple stab wounds and signs of struggle. They also found a baseball bat that was allegedly used to bludgeon the sister, and a knife that was the murder weapon. They also noticed the spray-painted message on the wall, which they initially took as a possible motive for the crime. Sef Gonzales was taken to the police station, where he gave a statement and acted as a grieving son and brother. He claimed that he had no idea who could have done such a thing, and that he loved his family very much. He also gave the name and phone number of his friend, who he said could confirm his alibi.
Sorry, I never told you all I wanted to say.
Sef Gonzales sang at his family's funeral as he was a grieving son and brother. He chose the song One Sweet Day by Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey, which is about losing a loved one and hoping to see them again in heaven. However, his performance was seen as inappropriate and cringeworthy by many people, especially since he sang a cappella and had a bad voice. Some sources suggest that he sang to satisfy his narcissism and ego, as he had a delusional belief that he was a talented singer and had a record deal. However, on the other side, police was on the hunt and soon became suspicious of his story, as they found some inconsistencies and clues that pointed to him as the killer. They also learned that he had a history of violence and deception, and that he had a motive to kill his family for their money. On one wall, they saw the words, "Fuck off Asians," spray painted in blue, which was later revealed to be a false clue planted by Gonzales to mislead the investigation. It was revealed that he had left traces of blue paint on his clothes. The police also noticed some inconsistencies and suspicious details in the crime scene, such as the lack of forced entry, the absence of fingerprints or DNA from the intruder, the presence of Gonzales' fingerprints and DNA on the murder weapon and the spray can, and the fact that Gonzales had taken a shower and changed his clothes before calling the emergency services. However, the police soon found out that he was lying. They discovered that he had no alibi. They also found evidence that he had planned the murders for months, such as buying knives, gloves, and spray paint. These clues led the police to suspect that Gonzales was the killer, and they eventually gathered enough evidence to arrest and charge him. He was arrested on June 13, 2002, and charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of threatening product contamination. He pleaded not guilty and went to trial in 2004. The trial lasted for 6 months and involved over 200 witnesses and thousands of exhibits. The jury found him guilty on all charges, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. He has since appealed his conviction and sentence several times, but has been unsuccessful. He recently applied for a royal pardon, claiming that he was innocent and that his trial was unfair. The case of Sef Gonzales is one of the most shocking and violent crimes in Australia's history. 20-year-old Filipino-Australian man who brutally murdered his parents and sister in their home in North Ryde, Sydney, on July 10, 2001. He stabbed his father, mother, and sister multiple times with a knife and also used a baseball bat to bludgeon his sister. He then spray-painted the words, "Fuck off Asians," on a wall to make it look like a hate crime. He claimed that he was out with a friend when the murders happened and that he discovered the bodies when he returned home. He called the emergency services and pretended to be horrified and distraught. However, the police soon became suspicious of his alibi and his behavior. They found evidence that he had planned the murders for months, motivated by his desire to inherit the family's assets and his resentment towards his parents' strict expectations. He had also tried to contaminate food products in supermarkets with cyanide and threatened to kill more people unless he was paid a ransom. One of them was his aunt. He was arrested and charged with 3 counts of murder and 1 count of threatening product contamination. The case of Sef Gonzales has attracted a lot of media attention and public interest, as well as academic and legal analysis. It has also led to changes in the law regarding the disclosure of information about the history of a property, as the house where the murders occurred was sold without informing the buyers of what had happened there. The case has also raised questions about the issues of immigration, identity, culture, family, and violence in the Australian society. Subscribe to the channel and check out the cases which pop up on screen.